Welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight. I am joined today by Christine, and she is the owner of Storyville RD. Christine, thank you for being on this episode of the Business Spotlight. I know we've had the chance to chat a little bit, so I'm excited to learn more about you and your business journey. So without further ado, Christine, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Absolutely. So I spent nearly 20 years in another industry. I was a news anchor and reporter and national correspondent all over the country, including here in Las Vegas. I was the evening news anchor for many years, and that really was my path. I went to school for journalism, and that was the only work experience really outside of some high school jobs that I ever knew. That was my path, and I was on it, and I was good at it, and I followed that path all across the country. And in 2020, during the pandemic, of course, I was laid off along with several other women at my station and my television station. And it was a time that once I was out into that uncomfortable space, forced into unemployment suddenly, like so many millions of other people across the country, all of a sudden I could think about my dreams and things that may have seemed risky. Entrepreneurship, which is something that I always thought would be so cool to do, but it always seemed far. It always seemed risky. It always seemed dangerous almost and scary to do that, to jump from a place where you have a full-time job, a 401k, and stability into something so unstable seemed scary. But then once you're forced into that place, then it lets you really kind of have an opportunity to dream. And that's when I decided, hey, I'm already out here. Let's jump into that.
Yeah. And that's inspiring, right? Is knowing that even when our back's up against the wall, we don't know what the next step is. And just saying, okay, it's time to let go. And I know what my passion is, and following that, that's what drives a lot of us into taking that leap of faith. And for you, the reward has been massive, right? It is an interesting journey with business, but when you do have that passion behind it, that's what fuels you to continue to just thrive, push through tough times. So with that said, what's one, you said you were in the media already. So what inspired you to really get into it and say, hey, this is it. This is what I really want to dive into with Storyville?
Well, my passion for storytelling never left. And you can tell Storyville RD, it's in the name. So we are storytellers. And that is all of my experience. And I truly feel like all of my experience and expertise led me to this point to create Storyville RD by taking my experiences and putting them to work for myself instead of for another corporation. And that's a little bit different because some people, let's say I worked in banking for years and years, and then I started a food truck. It's a much different industry, whereas I didn't go far as the industry, as far as what I do. I didn't venture too far because I still am true to my storytelling and that aspect of things, the video component, media coaching. I've been doing that for many, many years, even before I started the business, helping prepare people for interviews, prepare people for media appearances. And I've been doing that for many years. And then now I'm just taking that and transitioning to put my work and experience to work for my clients instead of as a working journalist.
Yeah. And it's that right there, what you just said, is knowing that it wasn't far-fetched from what you were already doing, but instead of doing it for a corporation, you decided, hey, this is an opportunity for me to seize my moment and do it for myself, right? Do it for me, do it for my family. And knowing that you're on this journey, Christine, what advice, would you give 20-year-old Christine who was just getting into business?
Oh, goodness. I think bet on yourself and know that my experiences are valuable. And when I say experiences, it's not just what's listed on the resume. I think sometimes we get caught up in that. What's listed on our resume? What do I have under title and what do I have under education. There's so much more than that. Our lived experiences really shape who we are. I have a mother of 2 on my team, and her lived experience as a mother makes her a phenomenal employee. She can multitask, she can take initiative, she gets a lot of work done in a short period of time because as a mom, she's been doing that with toddlers. Anyone who has young children know if you want to get the laundry done or if you want to get your dishes done, you got to do it when the baby's asleep. She takes that same initiative and that same organization and puts it to work for us at Storyville Road. So I think really looking into ourselves and knowing even the failures along the way, not just the successes, not just if you were summa cum laude and you graduated at the top of your class, that's really valuable. But so is the time when something devastating happened in your life and you overcame that, or so is the time when you got fired, or so is that gap in your resume, or so is that travel and that vacation that you took that expanded your global viewpoint. Those are all so valuable. So how can we translate that for our clients and into entrepreneurship? I think there are so many opportunities for us to take those things that don't typically have a home on your resume and translate it into a really strong value add for our clients.
Yeah, that's well said, right? And something that I picked up is that we all have a story, right? And how do you translate that story into your work ethic, right? Knowing that you can create a culture within your industry, right? And knowing that, hey, this is how I get my employees to perform at their best, right? And taking that example of, a mom of 2 kids, right? And how to navigate, because kids don't come with instructions, right? Just like business doesn't come with instructions. It's trying to navigate, okay, how are we going to do this? What's next? And from speaking to you, obviously it's not only do the awards stack up, right? But it's that culture that you bring, that knowing that you're empowering through your employees through their stories, right? They all have something unique to say. We all have on our own unique stories that led us to where we're at today. And it's those stories that, look, we're not all dealt the best cards, right? Some of us are dealt harder cards. It's just, how do you persevere through that? Right? What grit do you have to get to the other side? Staring down the tunnel, you see the light. Okay, what do I need to get through? What kind of mud and what obstacles are going to be in my way to get to the other side? So with that, what do you feel, Christine, is a mistake that first-time entrepreneurs make?
I think from what I've seen, isolation is a mistake that I've seen a lot of business owners make, and I totally understand it. It was actually a fear of mine when going into business for myself, because I come from this corporate environment, and for so many years, you have friends that come from the office, you have built-in networks, and then going off on your own, I wondered, how can I make friends in this community? How do I network in this community? Because it seems so foreign. And I do see, especially when first-time business owners start out, they may isolate because, one, they're busy. Their HR, their hiring, their recruitment, their project management, everything falls on us as small business owners. And so, one, there's a lot to carry on your own. And so you may just get bogged down with work. But I would say making sure to reach out and find your network of folks, whether that is the small business community through the SBA, whether that's through certification and minority certification through WRMSDC, for example, which is our region, the Western Regional Minority Supplier Development Council. They certify minority-owned businesses, and I'm really involved with them. Women-owned businesses, there's veteran-owned businesses, LGBTQ plus owned businesses. There are so many communities where we can learn from and network with each other and find our people and our passion. And that is one thing that I have just been so enriched and so supported and encouraged by other business owners, because when you find each other and when you really form a network of community, I'm constantly referring fellow small business owners. Hey, do you need a tax person? Here's this. Do you need this? Do you need that? And people refer me as well, because once we get to know each other, as long as we don't isolate and pull back and say, all right, it's me against the world, me and my business, which I totally understand, like I said, because there's so much to do. But in reaching out to other small business owners, I feel like it's a beautiful, diverse, encouraging, and supportive community.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm glad you hit that right, is because when we work with a lot of business owners, they do say a lot of times that entrepreneurship feels like a lonely journey. And one question we always ask is why do you feel that way? And do you think it has to be that way? Right. And I always recommend this book called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. That book, we spend an entire lifetime trying to figure out how are we going to get things done versus moving our egos to the side and saying, hey, who within the network, right? Who within the relationships that I built, the connections that I made can help me with this to get it done a lot quicker. Right. And you hit that point too, is that in this community, people want to uplift and empower one another when you surround yourselves with the right circles, right? There are always those ones or twos that, you know, they are going to be envious of of us that are creating the success, but it's because they're not willing to do the work, right? They're not willing to put in the time and the grit. And that's where you have to really pay attention to the network and the connections that you're building, because you're right. We empower each other by referring to the people that we know, like, and trust, right? And we know that at the end of the day, they are an extension of us, right? When you refer someone, you have to think of, okay, I'm entrusting this person with my client or with my whatever they are to you, right? A center of influence, because now they are an extension of who you are in your brand. And that's something that I always am very aware of people that we bring into our circles, is that we bring in people that we know can get the job done, right? And that's with what you're building with Storyville, and that's what I was really excited to learn about, right? Now, before we wrap up today's episode of the Business Spotlight, where do you see Storyville in the next 3 to 5 years?
I hope to be top of mind in the video production industry here in the Las Vegas Valley.
Ooh.
I hope that when people think I need video content, I need to create a commercial, I need a documentary, who comes to mind? I would like Storyville to come to the top of your mind when you think of that, not just because of the quality work we do, but how we operate, the culture, the investment in our community. We also have provided, in our short time, we're only 2 years old, we've also provided several thousands of tens of thousands of dollars in free video production services to nonprofits here in our community, because we know the power of video. We know the power of spreading people's messages, and we want to help use our talents to elevate people and organizations who are doing great work within our community. So like I said, not just for our services and what we provide, but how and why we do it.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? Is knowing that you're empowering other brands to be the best version of themselves, to get their message out there. Because when we talk about nonprofits, it's not that they're not for profit, they're for impact, right? What they're doing is impacting our direct community, even our nation, right? Through what their mission is. But a lot of times it is getting their message out there. So, that's extremely noble of what, you and your brand are doing to be able to provide that for nonprofits. And that's huge. That speaks volumes. Now, as we wrap up today, is there one question that I did not ask, Christine, that you wish I did ask?
I would say, when we talk about not just our hiring our own teams, but our clients, I think especially when we start off, it's like, we need money, right? We need clients through our doors. And yes, that's absolutely true. But I've had instances where I turned down a significant amount of money because we weren't values aligned. And I think too, when you get into business with clients, that's also a representation of who you are. And does that client and what they stand for reflect well on you? So not all money is good money. And I think too, that's a lesson I've learned. And I'm so glad that I turned down that money, because the thing is, I know my team's going to do a good job. And then where are the referrals going to be within that circle? So I want to keep my referrals and my client base with clients who are values aligned and who do reflect well on me, and who I can go to bed, sleep at night and say, you know what? My team, our talents, the culture we're building is also propping up businesses and aligned with brands that share the same values.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's really, really good advice, right? Is knowing which clients to bring on, because it is part of the culture that you're establishing, right? The community that you're building, because the people that you take on are going to eventually be referral sources, right? Those are people that you can refer out within the network. So knowing that it's got to be a culture fit, right? And that's something that a lot of business owners struggle with. So I'm really, really glad that you brought that up, because you're right. At the very beginning, we want to bring on as much as possible, because it is, okay, we need to eat, right? In order to keep the business afloat. But with that, we also have to be cautious of what's good money, what's bad money, right? And what's the retention, like what's the lifespan of that client? And knowing that the people that you are doing business with you aren't just a one-time deal. There's added things in their lifetime clients, right? Which is huge. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is a very, very important thing for a lot of business owners to be aware of. Christine, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, connect with you if they're looking for your services?
Head on over to our website. That's Storyville. You can see it right here on the screen. Storyville RD, short for road. StoryvilleRD.com is our website. There you can see all of our services. You can see samples of our work, and you can contact us right from the website.
Well, Christine, thank you for being on this episode of the Business Spotlight. My name's Edgar Rodriguez with Action Coach, here in the Las Vegas community, serving businesses to be able to scale and grow in profit. Thank you again, Christine.
Thank you.